In the dim haze of a war-ravaged village on the outskirts of a forgotten conflict, Sergeant Elias Thorne crouched behind a crumbling stone wall, his rifle trembling in his calloused hands. The air reeked of smoke and despair, the kind that clings to your soul long after the gunfire fades. It had been separated from his unit for hours, navigating the labyrinth of bombed-out homes under a merciless sun. That's when he heard her, a faint, broken whisper slicing through the silence like a knife. "Just kill me fast," she said, her voice raw and defeated, echoing from the shadows of a nearby shack. Elias froze, his heart pounding. He was a soldier, trained to eliminate threats, but something in that plea tugged at the remnants of his humanity, pulling him toward the unknown. Peering through a crack in the door, Elias saw her, a young woman, no older than 25, huddled in the corner on a dirt floor stained with blood. Her clothes were torn, her face bruised and streaked with tears. She clutched her knees to her chest, rocking slightly as if trying to vanish into herself. The village had been hit hard by the enemy forces, raiders who left nothing but ashes and agony in their wake. Elias had seen the aftermath before, families shattered, lives erased. But this was different. She wasn't armed, wasn't fighting. She was just broken. Cautiously, he stepped inside, his boots crunching on shattered glass. "I'm not here to hurt you," he murmured, lowering his weapon. Her eyes, wide with terror, met his. "Please," she begged again, her accent thick but her words clear. "Just kill me fast. They've already taken everything." Elias knelt beside her, his mind racing. It was a long way from home, from the quiet suburbs of Ohio where he'd grown up, dreaming of heroism in far-off lands. Enlisting after high school, he'd believed in the cause, freedom, justice, protecting the innocent. But war had a way of stripping away illusions, leaving only the raw truth of survival. Who was this woman? A civilian caught in the crossfire? He scanned the room for clues. A faded photograph on the wall showed her with a family, smiling under a brighter sky. "What's your name?" he asked softly, trying to bridge the chasm of fear between them. She hesitated, then whispered, "Amina." Her hands trembled as she spoke, and Elias noticed the way she pulled at her skirt, as if hiding something unbearable. As the minutes stretched, Amina began to unfold her story in halting breaths. She was a teacher in the village, educating children on history and hope until the raiders came. They stormed in at dawn, rounding up anyone who resisted. Her husband had been killed trying to protect her, her young son taken as a hostage. But the worst came later, in the dead of night. The raiders, drunk on power, had branded her as a warning, a mark of ownership, seared into her thigh like livestock. "They said I'd never be free," she choked out, tears streaming. "That this scar would remind me forever." Elias felt a surge of anger, but also a deep, aching empathy. He'd lost friends in this war, seen the cruelty that turns men into monsters. Yet here was Amina, reduced to begging for death rather than enduring the shame. Compelled by an instinct he couldn't ignore, Elias reached out gently. "May I see?" he asked, his voice steady but kind. Amina flinched, but something in his eyes, perhaps the weariness of a man who'd seen too much, made her nod. Slowly, she lifted the hem of her skirt, revealing the horror, a crude symbol burned into her skin, red and inflamed, spelling out words in a language of hate. "Property of the regime," it read, "a permanent tattoo of torment." Elias' stomach churned. He thought of his own sister back home, safe and strong, and how easily fates could twist. This wasn't just a wound, it was a violation of her spirit. "I'm so sorry," he whispered, fighting back his own tears. In that moment, an unexpected turn gripped him. A profound realization that war wasn't just about battles won, but about the choices that define us in the ruins. Instead of turning away, Elias made a decision that would change everything. He rummaged through his pack, pulling out his medical kit. "I'm no doctor," he admitted, "but I can help with this." Amina's eyes widened in disbelief as he cleaned the wound with antiseptic, his touch careful and respectful. As he worked, he shared his own story, not the glory of enlistment, but the loneliness that haunted him. Nights staring at the stars, wondering if he'd ever feel whole again. "We're all branded in some way," he said softly. "By laws, I fear. But it doesn't have to define us." Amina listened, her defenses cracking. For the first time in days, she felt seen, not as a victim, but as a person. As the sun dipped lower, casting golden rays through the cracked windows. Elias heard distant gunfire, his unit, perhaps, or more raiders. Time was running out. But Amina revealed another layer. Hidden in the floorboards was a small cache of supplies she'd gathered for the village children who had survived the attack. Food, water, even a few books. I was going to try to escape with them, she confessed, but after this. Her voice trailed off. Elias' mind raced. An unexpected alliance formed in his thoughts. It could radio for extraction, but that meant leaving her behind. Or he could risk everything to help her and the kids. The turning point came when Amina, bandaged and steadied, led him to a hidden cellar where 5 children huddled in the dark, their eyes hollow but hopeful. They ranged from 6 to 12, orphans of the storm. One little girl, no more than 7, clutched a tattered doll and stared at Elias with wide-eyed curiosity. "Are you a hero?" she asked innocently. Elias knelt to her level, his uniform dusty and worn. "No," he replied honestly, "but I'm trying to be." In that instant, a profound realization washed over him. True heroism wasn't in medals or missions, but in the quiet acts of kindness that rebuild shattered lives. He decided then, he wouldn't just patch Amina's wound, he'd help them all escape. The plan unfolded with heart-pounding urgency. Elias used his radio to call in a false position, buying time while he scouted a path through the hills. Amina, drawing on reserves of strength she thought lost, organized the children. As they moved under cover of twilight, an unexpected obstacle arose, a patrol of raiders blocking the only safe route. Elias' training kicked in, but so did his compassion. Instead of engaging in a firefight that could endanger the kids, he opted for stealth and diversion. Creating a distraction with a flare, he led the group around, his arm supporting Amina when her leg faltered. The emotional climax built as they crested a ridge, the promise of safety, a neutral aid camp, just miles away. But Amina collapsed, the pain from her brand overwhelming. "Leave me," she urged, echoing her initial plea. "Save the children." Elias stopped, the group halting in the moonlit shadows. Tears welled in his eyes as he faced her. "No," he said firmly, lifting her into his arms with a gentleness that belied his soldier's build. "We're all getting out." Jube carried enough burdens alone. In that act of selflessness, carrying her weight despite his own exhaustion, Elias embodied the power of humanity. The children watched, wide-eyed, as one man's compassion ignited a spark in the darkness. Amina, feeling the warmth of his resolve, whispered, "Why? You don't even know me." Elias smiled through his fatigue. "Because in a world that brands us with hate, we have to choose love. It's what makes us human." They reached the aid camp at dawn, the first rays of sun painting the sky in hues of hope. Medics rushed to help, wrapping the children in blankets and tending to Amina's wounds. Elias watched as Amina hugged the little girl with the doll, her face alight with a fragile jaw. Before parting, she turned to him. "You didn't just save my life," she said, her voice steady now. "You reminded me that kindness can heal even the deepest scars." Elias nodded, a weight lifting from his soul. He returned to his unit a changed man, carrying not just memories of war, but a testament to selflessness. Back home in Ohio months later, Elias shared Amina's story in quiet gatherings, veterans, halls, schools, community centers. It spread like wildfire, inspiring others to acts of generosity, donations to aid organizations, volunteer work in crisis zones. The branding on Amina's skin faded with time and treatment, but the mark Elias left on her heart endured, a reminder that one person's compassion can transform despair into dawn. In a world often divided by conflict, their encounter proved that humanity's greatest power lies in lifting each other up, one selfless act at a time. And so, from the ashes of war rose a beacon of hope, whispering to all, even in our loneliest moments, kindness can set us free.